All right, today I gotta cut some firewood and everything. We're gonna get this filled up. We're gonna use the saw back over there to do that little saw. But I wanna talk to you guys about something, and I need to grab a couple things. My truck barely fits in my garage. We're talking, the plow right now is completely against the wall. That's how much space I have, and I wrecked my truck. Backed into a tree plowing. Not paying attention. Oh, but yeah, I gotta step over the plow to get to the other side of my vehicle. I want to talk about battery electric vehicles. Got a few batteries here just for me to hold and rant with. And I got some electric motors here. Newer, older, both still work. One just doesn't work as well as the other. And I know one's an impact and one's an actual drill. Now, sticking with the DeWalt batteries, these cells, I believe, are just better cells. Let me shut this thing off. These cells in this one are just better lithium cells, like they're just better made. Quality control is something I don't understand. These cells are just cheap, generic lithium cells. Same thing with this one. I believe I have a Milwaukee battery with good Samsung cells in them. And I think this one uses a Samsung or a very similar Samsung cell in them. By cell, what I'm talking about, real quick, is one of these. This is a generic lithium cell. This is what they kind of look like. They look like a big ass AA battery. And this is old. This is old tech. The battery in your cell phone is not this, it's a flat pack. I don't know the real name of them, but it's newer tech and it's better in some aspects, and in some others it's worse. Lithiums, both are still extremely flammable to oxygen and water, and will weld metal together with just the heat of the battery itself from the lithium. So super dangerous. Electric motors, new, old, two different kinds of drills, but you get this thing. This motor still running good. This motor still running good. This just doesn't drill as well. Like I used to be able to put anchors in and stuff, and now it just won't spin sometimes because there's too much resistance, which is fine. It's an old drill. I've used it as a hammer probably more than I've used it as a drill. That's my own fault. I've dropped it off multiple roads, scaffolding, and it's held up, and it's one of the original, it's DCD 791 for anybody wondering, and it's held up. I've had it for years now, and I got a newer one, and it's a hammer one, but anyways, these are great batteries. These are. This one is far worse, no longer really holds real charge to it, and especially when it's cold out, I don't even use this. It overheats now too. When I'm running it in this, it'll overheat my grinder. It just doesn't hold up anymore. This, and it probably overheats because there's less cells in it, so there's a lot of heat within those few cells, but there's a lot of cells in this, and the heat can spread out amongst them. I don't know technology, and maybe there's a bigger heat shield in here to absorb some of that. But both these get affected by cold, no matter what. Like this, I just don't even use this. I get maybe half the amount of time that I would in regular non-extreme temperatures. Cold seems to affect it the worst. Heat, not so much. Of course, I don't try to leave my batteries out in the sunlight. Lithium does not like heat. Lithium does not like cold, but lithium will expand in heat. So you don't want that to happen because you don't want the battery to come apart, because then you'll start smoking and then burn your truck to the ground and everything. And this is just to show you that I do use Milwaukee. I like both. Both are good brands. Milwaukee is owned by a Chinese company. DeWalt's still owned by an American company. It's the only difference right there that I really differentiate the two brands and why I use DeWalt and like to support them, and I have stock in them. So anyways, not DeWalt, but Black & Decker. Stanley Black & Decker. Anyways, We want to build a society on old lithium technology from mines, cobalt mines in the Congo that use slave labor. This is really old tech. I guess as old as me, if not older. It's not that good, and we don't have the infrastructure on it. We're trying to build an infrastructure around lithium, electric motors, which electric motors really haven't changed. Tesla have made some tweaks to electric motors. They're not some unfathomable alien technology from the Andromeda galaxy that we somehow got, and nobody can figure out it but Tesla and everything. And it's like, no, it's just the same, just some tweaks done. And anybody that has taken one apart, I'm not a mechanic, anybody that I know or seen, I don't know anybody, I guess. Maybe one guy? I don't know. But all the people on YouTube are like, yeah, these are repairable by humans. You don't need the aliens from Andromeda to fix these or anything like that. They're the Tesla mechanics. It's pretty simple tech, apparently. So I'm just basing off of that. Take me with a grain of salt. I haven't opened one up, but as far as I understand from the pictures I've seen, they look like an electric motor. Go figure. So, but electric motors do wear down. I want to get that out of the way. Tesla's not going to run 1,000,000 miles on one battery pack, which I don't know if they're counting the battery as a powertrain when they state that stuff, or if they're just counting the electric motors. It is a good possibility that with 4 electric motors, that the vehicle will still run 1,000,000 miles before you need to change out 1 or 2 of the motors. That is a good possibility. I will give them that. But there's no way on planet Earth that current day Tesla battery technology, which is the same as what's in here, will go 1,000,000 miles. I don't believe it one bit. And until somebody can show me that they've done that, like they have with the 7.3, the 6.7, and the Duramaxes and the Cummins and the Cat engines and all these other engines that are diesel, and can show me that they've got 1,000,000 miles without having to replace parts and stuff. And in fact, like the 6.7 DPF filter, the Power Stroke DPF filter, some do win 1,000,000 miles on one DPF. That's insane. Ford, in fact, asked for the DPF itself for him to ship it to them. They would ship him a new one and have it installed for free for him. But they apparently wanted to cut it open to see like what this thing looks like, because the guy wanted to actually cut it open himself. Ford's like, no, we want that. He made a post about it. And I think the guy gave it up to him. Which, yeah, I mean, he probably was like, yeah, if you like send me photos of it so I can like see what it looks like, because he's super interested in it and everything. But anyways, I digress. We want to build a new future. So I want to phrase this: a new future on old tech. And we want to get rid of all the current day stuff that powers our society. That is fairly refined. We've already got the drills in the ground for oil, the pumps in the ground for oil. We're already stockpiled in oil, and we want to just get rid of that in the next 10 to 15 years, which is astronomically insane to think that we're going to more than double the production of something in that short of period of time and get the resources necessary to do that, such as the lithium, which the mines are just getting bigger, the cobalt, which the mines are just getting bigger, the slave labor is getting worse, and the copper for the electric motors, the copper for the power lines, the aluminum for the power lines. I don't know how much copper is in power lines, I guess. I don't know how much aluminum is. I know both are used. But anyways, all these metals and resources, and mine them out of the ground just to start a revolution. Like they want to put up solar panels and windmills and then battery stations when... Back up a little bit. Lithium batteries, this one, which has really good cells, and I have a Milwaukee one with really good cells, Samsung cells, if I remember correctly, the good Samsung. Samsung makes different degrees of like a generic crappy cell and then up the tier to the really good 1856, 57s or whatever. This I think has Samsung cells, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to show you this one. It's a newer battery anyways, a 9 amp big battery. This, as soon as I take it off the charger, before I even put it in a tool, and I put it in the back of my truck, like it's been sitting for however many weeks I've had it off the charger now. I just charged it. I guarantee if I tested this, which I'm not willing to get my tester out because I have no clue which one of these is the one. I'm not going to sit here and screw around. This isn't at 100%. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee that. Lithium batteries, in fact, most batteries that are rechargeable do have some sort of loss the second they lose the source of what's charging it. The second. Well, not the second, okay. Some are within a minute, some are within 10 minutes. It'll lose a certain percentage of its battery life. That's just the fact of battery. So the terrible way to store energy. Terrible way to store energy. Diesel can sit for months and with certain additives can last probably a year without ever going bad. I kind of take that back because diesel has biodiesel in it too, so I don't know if I would use that in my truck. I'd probably use it in like an old piece of crap diesel engine. So take that back. But gas, with certain additives, you can make the gas last for about a year, if I remember correctly. And oil lasts a long time. Unrefined oil lasts a long time. That's why we're able to stockpile it. I don't know how long, don't quote me on that, look it up yourself. Comment down below how long crude oil, raw oil, whatever you want to call it, lasts in a 55-gallon drum, or however the hell they store it. But energy from the sun, charging this, all of a sudden you just wasted that. And the battery's degrading as time goes on. So they want to put up these giant house-sized or factory-sized battery banks to collect energy, to store, to power the city if like the wind stops blowing or the sun's not shining. Like that's, I can't tell you how stupid that sounds. Like we already coal power plants taking up a massive amount of space that are doing a phenomenal job producing electricity for the most part. Now, EVs have kind of changed that, all this electric stuff that we're plugging into the power grid. You know, California doesn't have electricity. Texas apparently doesn't have very good electricity. Blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever. But that could be easily fixed by not having so many electric vehicles. Or just refining the current tech that we have. Continue to refine it while advancing other technologies. Like, that's how society works, but now the government wants to subsidize this and this, electric motors, and this, which electric motors are better than fossil fuel engines or oil engines, because they're not really, it's not really fossil, it's like, it's organic material that broke. Anyways, the oil engine, the gas diesel engine, isn't as high outputs as an electric motor, because an electric motor is just the way it's designed. But it's the fuel source. It's the fuel source that's the issue. Battery versus diesel. Diesel's gonna win 9 times out of 10. 9.9 times out of 10, diesel's gonna beat lithium batteries any day of the week. Whether it comes to pollution, because to refine the cobalt, it's being, you're digging a massive hole in the ground, you're using solvents and stuff to purify it, and it's being done in Africa. They don't really have any regulations on that. And lithium, same thing, you know, in Chile and China and Australia. I'm sure Australia and maybe Chile, they've got some regulations on mining and refining of materials. But Africa, the whole damn continent, last time I checked, has very low regulation on how they mine and refine, which is sad. Not that I want to be a hypocrite and be like, it's not a big deal, not my issue. But at the same time, it's not my issue. It's not my country. We got our own problems. They've been around just as long as us, if not longer. They got to figure out their own revolution, just like we had to figure out our own. And but I don't believe in sitting there lying to people, being like, "Oh, this is green. This is the furthest thing from green that you can get right here." And then, like Tesla, like DeWalt, they're encased in a plastic case. And then there's a little chip on top or on the side or somewhere in here that maintains the battery's stability. So if it gets too hot, it'll just shut off. It won't give you any more power. That's normal. That should be in here, because if this gets too hot and blows up, imagine this times, I don't know, 50 for a Tesla battery. And yeah, you get to the point, the whole vehicle is going to melt to the ground. And if it's touching anything else metal, they're going to weld the two things together. But we should not build a new future on old tech. And my battery is about to die. I don't feel like changing it out and continuing this. This has already been over 15 minutes, 16 minutes now. But we already have the infrastructure that we have currently. And we want to just level it to the ground and build it on this. And we're going too fast. Batteries are not, the current day batteries are not that good. Now, do I believe that somewhere in the future there might be nuclear battery or something, blah, blah, blah? Sure, 100% believe that. But right now, these may be cheap because the government's subsidizing them, heavily subsidizing this, wind, and solar. Heavily subsidizing, especially the businesses. So we cannot look at a future that's being subsidized by the government, who has an angle in it, and then the corporations that are also backing this, because they're just making money off of government dollars, basically. And they're getting tax breaks and everything for investing in this stuff and buying it and everything. So let's look at a future of innovation by private industry. Some dude on YouTube compared Tesla and cell phones. Cell phones took off and took over the market. Tesla took off and is taking over the market, which is hardly true. They didn't even sell as many vehicles as Ford did. So, I mean, as Ford did trucks, just trucks. So Ford sell more trucks than cars. Like, let's remember that. And that's across the board for a truck industry. But anyways, cell phones took off because it was backed by the free market. So you and I, we purchased it. All of us purchased cell phones. And it was marketed very well, don't get me wrong. Cell phones were marketed very well. And they became super cheap. And even nowadays, like, you got the really expensive ones, super cheap ones down here. And you got refurbished ones and everything. It's a good market. Tesla took off, one, because of super fanboys and government subsidies. Tesla got huge government subsidies in like 2014 or 16 or something stupid to advance battery technology into the future and give these charging stations and help build this infrastructure. So of course it would be in the best interest for investors to invest in Tesla, because the government just gave them a bunch of money, which causes their stock to go up. Now, as you see, and I understand Tesla isn't just an automobile company, AI and future and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Their stock went from $400 or $360 to $160. Weird, right? Once the government took away a majority of their funding and then spread out the funding amongst other automobile companies and industries within the wind, solar, and battery tech fields, their stock plummeted. Like, it had plummeted even before they took away the money. Like, that's nuts. When investors saw that Tesla didn't have all the money, they backed out. Not only that, like, market changes and blah, blah, blah. I know there's a whole other slew of things, but look at every single government subsidy where the government has their money, and look at the stock before they got the money and look at when they got the money. And look at the usage and volume of trading of that company. Just follow the government is subsidizing technology all the time. That's wrong. Government. I have to finish this. The government didn't really subsidize cell phones. Maybe slightly, you know, like cell phone towers, fiber optic lines, internet lines. that all gets subsidized. And I understand that. And the government isn't all evil, but the majority, 99.9999 continually percent of whatever the government touches turns to crap. Or is just crap straight up. And lithium battery technology for cars is crap. Lithium battery technology for cell phones, continue innovating this. Continue innovating this. Continue innovating this. But until we can figure out an electric motor that runs off of thin air, electric motor technology should not be heavily invested in, just like this should not be heavily invested in for a car or heavy equipment. But companies are getting paid by the governments of different world organizations, US, EU, whatever, to make heavy equipment with batteries in them. If you were going to get paid and get tax breaks for investing your time, resources, and energy into this, you better damn believe Caterpillar, Hyundai, Volvo, I can't think of all the other ones, JCB are going to invest, Bobcat are going to, Bobcat sit right in front of me. I named off all the other ones, but anyways, are going to invest their time and energy into that if they're getting paid for it. Why wouldn't you? Now me, as a regular Joe, I'd be more like Toyota and tell you, yeah, Toyota came out and been like, no, not the future. And the CEO should just straight up like come out with an interview or a public announcement of some sort, like a meeting, a public hearing, and be like, this is why batteries are not good for the auto industry. I'm sure he might be quieted. He might not have that authority to say that, being the Toyota CEO. Oh man, sorry Toyota. I didn't mean to compare you to Apple there, but you know what I mean. And that's just me talking. And I should end this because we're now into like 20 minutes of me ranting. But I'm gonna put these batteries away. And but yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. And these do just sit in my truck. Like this hasn't probably been charged in a while. This one definitely hasn't, so it's definitely not sitting at 100%. And who knows, like it might have been charged last summer. So, and I've probably used it since then too. So definitely not holding a full charge. These are lithium too. These do terrible in the heat. In fact, this will overheat them. The camera alone will overheat this battery, and it'll stop working. I think it's overheating the batteries. If I had to guess, it's the battery. It's not the internal component, and it could be both internal components of the camera and the batteries saying time to shut off. But that's kind of my rant and everything. I don't want people to think that I'm against government subsidies. I'm against a lot of government subsidies, like 99% of them. But subsidizing internet lines, I really can argue both sides of them not doing that because, oh my God, AT&T, Spectrum, Charter Spectrum, AT&T, Google, all these companies that have a bunch of fiber optic lines, and I can't name all of them, but those are really the big three, big two. The government touches things and all of a sudden it either turns to poop poop or they're touching things that are already poop poop. You know, like they up the daily limits of, we're going to get on a tangent on the government. They up the amount of soy that can be consumed daily so they can add more to school lunches as a substitute for protein. Red meat protein and soy protein are not one and the same. Soy protein, there's very little long-term studies done on them. We have been eating red meat for a long, long time. Soy, there are estrogenic effects that it can cause. And while short-term or small amounts for you know, 5 years may not cause that much of an issue, but continue to raise the amount that is allowed to be consumed and that is being forced into school lunches over an 18-year, not 18 because you start school at 5, I can't do math, over a 10-year period, we don't know what it's going to do. Plus it's allowed in all other foods, and soy is used in everything. And that's why male testosterone has come down. Females' testosterone has even come down. And that's important because, once again, females produce just more estrogen than males, but they still produce more testosterone than they do estrogen. And I don't understand how female works, but what can happen is there's aromatase enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen for both males and females. I don't know if that's the same thing happening in a female's body as how we produce it in a male body. Anyways, heavy equipment should not have batteries in it. This truck should not have batteries in it. My dump truck out there should not be battery fueled. You can't see it. There's a dump truck out there. A triaxle. That's what I'm getting at. Anyways, I'm going to get the skid steer started, get the area where I got to cut stuff from. Actually, I got to sharpen the chainsaw first. And that's what I'm going to do. This video is over. See you guys next time. Bye. One last thing. If you like this, go ahead and comment down below. Comment down below what you think. Comment about what I got wrong. I'm 100% opinionated on this. Some things I'm drawing from factual evidence, and some is factual anecdotal evidence, whether or not you believe in that. But go ahead and comment down below what you think, if I'm an idiot or if you think I'm right. And we'll talk to you guys next time.